Hey everyone, my name is Jason, also known as Pirate JC, and I'd like to extend the warmest of welcomes to all of you. Whether you're brand new on your Babylon journey, a seasoned pro, or anything in between, we are genuinely excited to have you as a part of the Babylon family. Today, I'm very excited to be able to introduce you to a new video series where we're going to give an overview of a powerful new tool inside of Babylon, known as the Inspector. Before I show you that, however, if you're new to Babylon, then your journey probably starts right here on Babylon.js.com. On our website, you can get access to download Babylon, access to documentation, forums where you can ask questions, or you can dive right in and start playing with Babylon right away. You can do this through two different ways. The first one that I'd like to show you is called the Sandbox. It's located right here. If I click on Sandbox, this is going to load up an image that basically is begging for a 3D model. I just happen to have one available. How convenient is that? We'll bring in the flight helmet. And right away, you can start moving a camera around a 3D space, see a beautiful model inside of a beautiful environment with image-based lighting. And this is the first place that I'd like to show you where you have access to the Inspector. So the Inspector can be called up right here in this button, the Display Inspector button in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. And it pops up with two different windows. The Scene Explorer is on the left-hand side of the screen, and the Inspector window is on the right-hand side of the screen. Before we dive into that, though, let me jump back to Babylon.js.com and show you the second place where you can start playing around with Babylon. And that is actually right through the giant red Try button. So we'll click on Try, and that is going to load the Playground. Now, the Playground is different from the Sandbox in the sense that this is a place where you can actually write live code, run it, and see it update in a 3D scene. So we have a code editor on the left-hand side of the screen, 3D scene on the right-hand side of the screen. And again, any code that you change, you can just simply hit run, and it'll update right there on the right-hand side of the screen. We have access to the Inspector through the Playground through this button right here. I'll click that. Now you'll notice that it looks a tiny bit different. We'll click over back to the Sandbox that you just saw. Sandbox, you see that there are two different windows for the Scene Explorer and the Inspector. And in the Playground, they're actually combined and embedded into one window. The Scene Explorer is actually in the top part of the window, and the Inspector window is down in the bottom part of the window. And we'll show you more about that a little bit later on in the series. For right now, though, there's a third way that you can get access to the Inspector, and that's actually through your code. If you want to make sure that the Inspector is called every single time you run your code, you can do that simply by adding in scene.debuglayer.show, hit run, and the Inspector will pop right up in the two-windowed mode. So just wanted to make sure I showed you that through the Playground and the Sandbox. For the rest of this, we'll go back to the Sandbox just so that we can look at this gorgeous flight helmet. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to talk to you about the Scene Explorer window. That's the one on the left-hand side. In the next video, we'll show you the Inspector window, but for now, we'll focus on the Scene Explorer. Think of this as a visual representation of the list of all of the components inside the Babylon 3D scene. There's the scene itself located right here. There are any assets you have, the camera, the skybox, any materials being used by any of your assets, your meshes, and then any textures being used in those materials. Also, any rendering pipelines that you may have, skeletons, animation groups, all that stuff will be displayed right here. So anything that's being used in the 3D scene will have a representation that you can look at in the Scene Explorer. You notice that I can expand and collapse the hierarchies through the plus and minus nodes. If I have a complex asset, actually this model is pretty complicated in the sense that there's a lot of components to it. We also have this expand all button. So that allows you just to expand all of the different parts. And then from here, you can select different parts of the asset. Go ahead and ignore, again, what's happening on the Inspector window on the right-hand side of the screen. That updates automatically based on your selection, and we'll cover that a little later. For now, though, let's show off how I'm going to show you how you can hide different parts of the model simply by using this eye icon. So I can hide different parts if I want. I can also show off, like let's look at the mask here, a bounding box. so I can show off the outer bounds of where that mesh is. And then the other thing that I'd like to show you is that you have access to some handy gizmos up here. So your translation, rotation, and scale, you can actually move those in the 3D scene using the gizmos, and you can quickly bring those up here. So let's grab, our leather part of the cap. Pivot point's a little off. That's why this is down here and the asset's up here. It's built that way, and that's totally cool. We'll just move that over like this. Show you how you can use translation, rotation. We'll go ahead and grab a different part. Let's just grab this one, and you can move that and flip that upside down. And then you can also have access to scale. So I can take all of my metal parts and blow them up, looking kind of fun. And then this is a really cool feature, Gizmo. I really, really like this one a lot. Let's just take the earphones. And this actually has scale and rotation built in. So it has cubes and spheres, and you'll notice that these cubes, if you grab those, you can actually scale out the asset from different sides. So that's scaling out to, in this case, the right-hand side of the screen. That's scaling out to the left. And you can also rotate as well by grabbing the spheres. And that's it's super cool, all in one gizmo. Really, really like that. You'll notice up until now that I've selected everything via the Scene Explorer window, actually going through and selecting the parts, knowing their names. I do that because by default, we don't allow you to actually, let's turn this off. I don't allow you to actually change the selection based on picking different parts of the mesh. And the reason for that is because we give priority to the camera control. So we want to make sure that you come in and you're not going to be changing what's selected in the scene if that's not intended. But we do enable you to be able to pick things in the scene by turning on this icon right here. So that turns picking on and off. And from there, I can pick different things and it will update my selection accordingly. The last thing I'd like to show you about the Scene Explorer window is if I know the asset's name and I have a huge list of a ton of different things in my scene and I want to just narrow it down to one specific part and not have to scroll through and hunt for it, I can filter this as well. Like if I want to just show the leather parts, then those are available to me right there. So that's it actually for this video. Thank you for checking it out. We talked a little bit about the inspector, how you can find it, how you can access it and start to use it. Be sure to check out the next video where David is going to show you how to use the other side of the inspector window itself and the powerful 4 tabs that exist there. We hope you'll consider subscribing to the series and following us on whatever your social media channel of choice is. And thank you so much for checking it out. We'll see you next time.